It didn't feel like a gift at the time. It felt like devastation when they left, when the relationship ended, when you lost them. You were shattered, broken, convinced you'd never recover. But here's what you didn't know then, and what you're about to understand now. Losing them saved your life, not metaphorically, literally. That goodbye, the one that destroyed you, was the thing that set you free. Because staying would have killed you, slowly, quietly, until there was nothing left of who you were. The goodbye wasn't loss, it was liberation. This is the truth no one tells you when you're in the pain. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing that could have happened. This is forbidden knowledge, the reframe that transforms your heartbreak from tragedy into gift. And once you see it, everything changes. This is why losing them was the best thing that ever happened to you, even if it didn't feel like it at the time. Intro, the gift you didn't want. Here's what makes toxic relationship endings so confusing. They feel like loss. You lost the person you loved, the future you imagined, the life you were building together. And for a while, maybe months, maybe years, you grieve that loss. You wonder what you could have done differently. You replay every moment. You wish you could go back. But here's the truth that time reveals. You didn't lose anything real. You lost an illusion, a fantasy, a version of them that never actually existed. And gaining freedom from that illusion, that's not loss, that's salvation. Here's what the goodbye gave you. It gave you back yourself, the parts of you that were slowly disappearing. Your voice, your boundaries, your joy, your peace. It gave you clarity. You can finally see what you couldn't see when you were in it. The manipulation, the control, the slow erosion of everything you were. It gave you a future, one where you're not walking on eggshells, where you're not anxiously waiting for the next conflict, where you can breathe. It gave you your life back, because staying would have taken it, piece by piece, until there was nothing left. Most people spend years wishing they could go back, but you're about to understand why forward is the only direction that saves you. Let's break it down. Section 1, what you actually lost. Here's what you need to understand. When a toxic relationship ends, you're not losing what you think you're losing, what you think you lost, the person you loved, the future you planned, your sense of security, your sense of identity. What you actually lost, someone who was slowly destroying you. A future built on lies and false promises, a false sense of security that came from staying small, an identity built around someone else's needs. Let's break that down. You didn't lose love. You lost addiction. What you felt wasn't healthy love. It was a trauma bond, an addiction to the highs and lows, the push and pull, the hope that they'd become the person they pretended to be. Real love feels safe, stable, consistent. What you had felt like chaos, and you called it passion, but it wasn't. It was addiction, and the goodbye broke that addiction. You didn't lose a partner, you lost a project. You weren't in a relationship. You were trying to fix someone, save someone, change someone. You poured all your energy into making them better, making them happy, making them stay. And when they left, you didn't just lose them, you lost your purpose. But here's the truth. Fixing people isn't a purpose. It's a distraction from fixing yourself. You didn't lose your future, you lost a fantasy. The future you imagined, the one where they finally changed, where the relationship finally worked. That was never real. It was a story you told yourself to justify staying. One day once they work through their issues, if I just loved them enough. But one day never came, because it was never going to. The goodbye didn't take your future. It gave you a real one. You didn't lose yourself. You lost the version of you they created. The anxious version, the small version. The version that walked on eggshells, suppressed needs, and apologized for existing. That version, you didn't lose her, you freed her. Real world example. You thought you lost your soulmate, but 6 months after the breakup, you realize you don't miss them. You miss the version of yourself that still believed they'd change. You miss the hope, the possibility, the fantasy, but the reality, you don't miss that at all. You now understand what you actually lost leads to illusion, not love. What you gain leads to peace, voice, joy, identity, future. Why staying would have destroyed you leads to slow death. Why you stopped wishing they'd return. Clarity, growth, protection. How to honor the gift. Protect peace, rebuild, recognize red flags. If you're still in pain, that's okay. Healing isn't linear, but you're closer to freedom than you've ever been. Section 2, what the goodbye gave you back. Here's what you got back when they left. You got your peace back. Remember the constant anxiety, the hypervigilance, the feeling like you were always one mistake away from conflict? That's gone now. You can breathe again. You don't wake up checking their mood. You don't spend your day walking on eggshells. You don't go to bed replaying every word you said, wondering if you messed up. Your nervous system is healing, and that peace, that's priceless. You got your voice back. How long had it been since you said what you really thought? Since you expressed a need without fear? Since you set a boundary without being punished? You can speak now, without consequence, without fear, without making yourself smaller to make them comfortable. Your voice was the first thing to go, and it's the first thing to come back. You got your joy back. You forgot what it felt like to laugh without guilt, to enjoy something without them ruining it, to feel happy without waiting for the other shoe to drop. You can feel joy again, and no one's there to take it away. You got your identity back. You stopped being their partner. You started being you again. The hobbies you gave up, the friends you distanced from, the dreams you put on hold, the parts of yourself you edited to fit their expectations. All of it coming back, slowly but surely. You got your future back. Not the future you imagined with them. A real future, one where you're not sacrificing yourself, where you're not waiting for someone to change, where you're not shrinking to fit someone else's needs. A future where you're whole, free yourself. Real world example. A year after they left, you run into them, and you feel nothing. Not anger, not longing, not sadness, just neutrality. And you realize you don't miss them. You miss who you were before them. And that version of you, she's back. Section 3, the truth about staying. Here's what you need to understand. If they hadn't left, you would still be there, slowly dying. What staying would have cost you? Your mental health. The anxiety would have worsened. The depression would have deepened. You would have convinced yourself it was normal to feel this way. Your physical health. Chronic stress destroys your body, your sleep, your immune system, your energy. Staying in that relationship was literally making you sick. Your identity. You were already disappearing. Another year? 2? You wouldn't recognize yourself. The vibrant, confident, joyful person you were, gone. Your relationships, You'd already pulled away from friends and family. Stay longer, and you'd lose them completely. Isolated, alone, with only the person destroying you, your dreams. Every day you stayed was a day you weren't building the life you actually wanted. Your career, your passions, your purpose, all on hold for someone who wasn't even meeting you halfway. Your life, not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, until one day you'd wake up and realize you weren't living, you were surviving. Here's the hard truth. Staying wouldn't have gotten better. It would have gotten worse. Because toxic people don't wake up one day and become healthy. They escalate. They push boundaries further. They take more and more until there's nothing left to take. And you would have stayed because you love them, because you'd already invested so much, because leaving felt impossible, but they left. And in doing so, they saved you from yourself, because you weren't going to leave. Not yet, maybe not ever. And that goodbye, the one that shattered you, was actually mercy. Real-world example. You look back at old photos, the ones from the end of the relationship, and you barely recognize yourself. The exhaustion in your eyes, the tightness in your smile, the way you look smaller, dimmer, like you were slowly fading. And you realize if you'd stayed, that version of you would have disappeared completely. The goodbye didn't take you, it brought you back. Section 4, why you stopped wishing they'd come back. There's a moment, it's different for everyone, where you stop wanting them back. It's not dramatic, it's quiet. You just let go. Here's what that moment looks like. You see them clearly for the first time. Not the fantasy version, not the person they pretended to be at the beginning, the real them. Manipulative, selfish, incapable of the love you deserve. And you realize you don't want that back. You never did. You wanted the illusion. You remember what it actually felt like. Not the good moments, the everyday reality, the anxiety, the walking on eggshells, the constant doubt, the feeling like you were never enough. And you think, I don't miss that. I don't ever want to feel that way again. You see how far you've come. You're sleeping better, laughing more, enjoying life again. You have peace, and you realize going back would destroy all of this. Why would I ever risk that? You meet someone healthy, or you don't, but you experience what healthy looks like. Consistent communication, respect, reciprocity, and you realize I was accepting crumbs and calling it a feast. You understand the gift. The goodbye didn't take your life, it gave you one. And going back, that would be choosing to die slowly again. Real-world example, they reach out months or years later. I miss you. I've changed. Can we talk? And instead of hope, you feel dread, because you remember what it felt like, and you know nothing's changed. They just need supply again. So you don't respond, not out of anger, out of protection, because you've already been saved once. You're not going back to what almost killed you. Section 5, how to honor the gift. Here's how you fully receive the gift of goodbye. 1, stop romanticizing the past. The good moments were real, but they weren't the whole truth. Remember the full picture, not just a highlight reel. 2, grieve what you hoped for, then let it go. You're allowed to grieve the future you imagined, the person you thought they could be. But don't stay in that grief. Grieve, then release. 3, rebuild your life intentionally. Don't just survive the breakup. Use it. Reconnect with friends. Pursue passions. Build the life you couldn't build while you were shrinking for them. 4, protect your peace. If they reach out, don't respond. block them if you need to. Your peace is more valuable than closure. More valuable than one last conversation. Protected at all costs. 5. Recognize red flags early. You know what toxicity looks like now. Don't ignore it in the next person. Love bombing, boundary violations, inconsistency. Leave at the first sign. 6. Thank yourself for surviving. You got through the hardest thing. You rebuilt. You healed. That's not luck, that's strength. Acknowledge it, celebrate it, honor it. The final section is about what's waiting for you on the other side of this grief. Stay with me. This is where hope returns. Section 6, what's waiting on the other side. Here's what's coming for you. A version of yourself you've never met. Stronger, clearer, more solid in who you are. Not because of the relationship, because of what you did after. Relationships that feel easy, not boring, not passionless, just easy. No games, no chaos, no wondering where you stand. Communication, consistency, reciprocity, safety. You won't believe how good it feels at first. You'll wait for the other shoe to drop. But it won't. Because healthy love doesn't feel like chaos. It feels like home. Peace that doesn't come from someone else. You'll stop needing external validation. You'll stop seeking approval. You'll stop shrinking to fit. You'll just be fully, freely, unapologetically. A life that's yours, not half yours, not compromised, not edited to make someone else comfortable. Fully, entirely, beautifully yours. And one day you'll realize the goodbye wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning. The worst thing that happened to you, it saved your life. And you wouldn't change it, not for anything. In conclusion, the gift of goodbye is this. You got yourself back. You got your life back. You got a future back. And even though it didn't feel like a gift at the time, even though it felt like devastation, it was mercy, because staying would have killed you, slowly, quietly, until there was nothing left, and leaving or being left saved you. So if you're still in the pain, hear this. You're not broken. You're healing. And healing looks messy, non-linear, difficult, but you're doing it. And on the other side of this pain is a version of you that's free. The goodbye wasn't loss, it was liberation. Welcome to the other side. Your life is waiting. Call to action, engagement. If losing them saved your life, drop a comment right now and type. The goodbye was a gift, because it was, even if it didn't feel like it, even if it still hurts. It saved you, and that's powerful. If this video helped you see your breakup differently, hit that like button. And if you want more psychology that helps you heal from toxic relationships, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because on Hidden Truth Mindset, we don't just talk about moving on, we show you why moving on is the best thing you can do for yourself. Most channels tell you to forgive and forget. We tell you why leaving was the gift and how to honor it. That's the difference. And if you want to understand why you couldn't leave sooner, watch this video next. It breaks down trauma bonding, the psychological mechanism that kept you attached even when you knew you should go. Because understanding why you stayed helps you forgive yourself for not leaving sooner. That video is linked on screen now. Watch it. Final close. The goodbye was a gift, even if it didn't feel like one. Welcome to freedom. I'll see you in the next one.